Hello there, everyone, and welcome to today's Member Spotlight of Maximum Potential Academy. I am so excited that you're here because today I have with me Julie Carr of Julie Carr and Associates. You can find her at juliecarr.com. She's going to talk to you a little bit more about her business, the why behind her business, and specifically, we're going to get into some of the details about MPA and how it's impacted her business as well. Julie, welcome.
Thank you, Lady J. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So talk to us a little bit about your business and what was really the why behind you starting it.
Absolutely. You know, a number of years ago, I found myself in crisis mode. And I was in my early 40s and I was drowning in my own life. I had battled a drug and alcohol addiction, and I was just really spinning my wheels trying to discover, who I was. Everything looked really great from the outside, but on the inside, I was really miserable. I remember there was a particular day that was a turning point, and I refer to it as my lake moment. Wow. I actually found myself in the middle of a lake on the verge of drowning, but that's a story for another day. Wow. But that was a turning point in my life, and it was quite metaphorical because I was drowning in my own life and I didn't know why. So I remember that day thinking, I need to figure out why I'm here. And I remember I read a quote, one of my favorite quotes by William Barclay, and he said, the two greatest days in a man's life are the day that he was born and the day that he finds out why. And I thought to myself, Lady J, I didn't know why I was here. And I didn't have any meaning. So that day, I remember I made a commitment to myself. And I said, you know what, Julie, you're going to figure out why you're here and what you're here to do. So that launched me on this incredible journey. And I read hundreds of books. I attended tons of conferences. I attended tons of webinars, and I went to workshops because I wanted to discover who I was, what I was created to do. Wow. So as I was doing that, as the years started to pass, and in that study, I started to see patterns emerge in my own life. So I started to discover what my passions were, something that I really had never identified. I started to be able to identify what my talents were. I was always that girl in school that got in trouble for talking, right? So now I get paid to talk.
Yes. I love it.
But also too, on a much grander scale, I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself, because I know that that's why we're here. So what happened in this whole journey in self-discovery for myself began to morph into a business.
Wow.
People started to ask me to speak, and I'm like, well, I could do that. So I started speaking about passion and purpose and identifying your talents. And I loved it. And then people started asking me to come back. Then people started saying, do you work with people one-on-one? And so slowly I began to see that what really in the beginning was a crisis point for me was a turning point that led me in a totally different direction. So as I started to discover myself, I started to change career directions. I always knew that I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I always knew that. I knew God had always placed that seed in my heart. But if I were honest with you, I was afraid, because here was my question. Where do I start? Who does what I do? Are they anywhere to be found? And can I make any money?
Yes.
Doing that. So once I started to see that it was possible, I met people like you. And I met people like Dan Miller.
Yes.
I'm like, wow, and Kent Julian. That's a possibility that these things could happen. And so as it started to grow, I became more and more passionate about helping other people discovered their why in life, because my life had changed so dramatically. And I remember listening to the late Dr. Miles Monroe, and he had asked a question. He said, where is the wealthiest place on earth?
Yeah.
And he said, it's the graveyard, because that's where people take their dreams and businesses that they never started because that they were afraid. I thought, wow, if we could grasp that, what a difference. Daniel Pink says that 80% of people in the United States don't like what they do for a living. Can you imagine if 80% loved what they did for a living?
Wow, what a difference
that we would see.
Yeah.
So that's kind of real quickly a little bit about my story.
Yeah.
A little why behind why I do what I do.
I love your story, Julie, and I especially love how heartfelt it is. I can completely, I feel like I'm, even though we're in two different states right now, I feel like we're just, on the couch having a cup of coffee together because you are so genuine about what you talk about. Take me back to that moment where you had this, that day where you discovered what you were here for. Now, a lot of people, there are some people watching, maybe they've had a similar experience, but they are letting fear hold them back from actually launching it into a business. What would you say to someone who is letting fear or hesitation or doubt stop them from moving forward?
I love that question.
Yeah.
And I have one word for that, and it's jump.
Perfect.
And here's the thing is the fear will never go away until we act. We think, and this is what I hear, well, I'm going to wait until the time is right. I have a news flash for you. There's never going to be a right moment. There will never be a right moment.
Right.
You'll never feel ready to do something. So you have to move the fear from the back of your brain to the frontal cortex and say, I want this bad enough. I'm going to step forward. And regardless of what happens. I remember a friend of mine asked me, she said, Julie, how long are you going to give this business of yours? Or she said, whatever you call it. And I stopped and I hadn't thought about that. And I thought for a long moment, and I don't think she thought I heard, that I heard her. And I said, however long it takes. However long it takes.
Yeah.
So fear is the biggest killer to our destiny. And the thing with fear, Lady J, and you and I both know this, is it's a liar. It lies to you. So yeah, my word and my advice for that is to jump.
Yeah.
Take that first step.
Absolutely.
Take the first step, then the next step opens.
Yes.
Another step. And then that opens for you. And then pretty soon you look back and you're like, wow, I can't believe I've come this far. At one point I didn't believe it was possible, but now I'm seeing that it is possible.
Yes. Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. And one of the things I love about you, Julie, is that you have consistency about you. You don't give up. Like you said, even when you're not seeing the exact results sometimes in some areas that you want to see. And I think so many entrepreneurs get hung up there because they start something, get a tiny bit of momentum, and then quit. They start something new, get a tiny bit of momentum, and then they quit. They don't stick with something long enough to see results long term. So what would you say? What would you say about that? And then what would you say about what you've been able to create as a result of being in community with MPA?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to say that I thank you so much for that compliment about consistency, because I would not have defined myself that way before I met you and before I was a part of Maximum Potential Academy. True story.
Wow.
I remember our monthly coaching calls are so incredibly valuable to me. I mean, I look forward to them every month. But I remember you had said something on a coaching call about you have to be consistent with your audience, because I started blogging.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, nobody's reading my blog.
Right.
Why am I doing this? You know, and I remember I was on that coaching call and you said, you have to stay consistent because it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. And I remember that. And I thought, I can do that.
Yes.
I can do that. See, now that's a step that I can take.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a huge leap. Here's the step I can take. Julie, you can blog consistently every week. And that's your commitment to your calling and to your purpose and to the people that you want to serve.
I love
as simple as that, right? As simple as that. But once again, had I not heard that, had I not placed myself in a community that supports my vision, that supports my dreams, I would have given up. I would have given up because, you know, when I first started this journey, I thought I could do it by myself. I could get a couple books, I could watch a couple webinars, and I'm off.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Because God created us to be in community together and each other.
Yeah.
So that's one of the many benefits I have received from MPA is that I know that I have a supportive group of individuals that know exactly what I'm going through. They know the struggles because they are experiencing the same struggles. They're able to support each other. Some of us are at higher levels and we can mentor other people. Some of us are just starting. So, you know, there's this, you know, we're all at different levels, which is so beautiful. So I know for myself that I've developed some very strong friendships.
Yes.
In MPA, a group of women that I trust.
Yes. Yes.
And that if I had any questions, I know that I could go to them anytime and they would support me. And that to me is invaluable because the journey of what I believe that I'm called to do by God is a step-by-step process. And He expects me to do my part. And He also expects me to look for ways that I can be supported.
You know, my mind took a flashback as you were talking about community and about, you know, being around like-minded people. You are such the encourager yourself, and you're such the builder of other people yourself. But take me back for a moment. And I want to hear about what you've been able to create in your business. Some of the speaking, I'd love to hear about some of the speaking and coaching that you've done and that you're getting ready to do and that you are doing right now. But take me back, there was an email that, oh my goodness, you were in Professional Women of Integrity. You remember that?
Yeah.
48 days. You spoke at an event. Okay, take us back and then tell me what was the difference then versus what is the difference now?
Oh my word, yes. Oh, yeah. So this was quite some time ago, and I had in another support group that you run, Lady DJ. I had gone to speak at an event that was quite a distance away, and it was a free event. I was doing it for free.
Yeah,
trying to get my name out there, and so I go to the event, and it was one of the worst experiences professionally I have ever had. I was heckled. I was heckled by 3 grown women the whole time. Blew my mind. But I remember leaving there feeling so incredibly defeated. And so here's the voices you hear in your head when you experience that. Who do you think you are?
Right.
Why are you doing this? Oh, you know, you knew that you wouldn't be successful. I don't even know why you're trying. You should just go back to something that's more traditional. And so all of those voices. So that was then, and this is now.
Yes, yes.
Right? I am not that person anymore. And I don't know that I could say it was one thing. But I know, for example, I spoke to a group last month. There was 100 people. It was a professional development day for a bank, and I got paid a lot more than free. Let me just say that. and I rocked it out. I was confident.
Yes.
I was confident. I knew my stuff.
Yes.
But most importantly, I mean, I knew my stuff before, but most importantly, this had changed how I thought about myself as a professional, and
Yes.
the skills and the talents that I was bringing to the table. I
Yes.
add value. And
Yes.
that's something that you say all the time.
Mhm.
You have to remember that you add value. And if you can make that mental shift,
Mhm.
you have the knowledge, you have the information. We're all smart people.
That's right.
We have it. But
That's
we
right.
just have to know in our heads that we are offering a valuable service
That's it.
that people are willing to pay for. And
Yes.
that it's possible to do something that you love and get paid.
Absolutely. I love that you shared that story, and thank you for sharing it, because it is like night and day from back then when that unfortunate circumstance happened. And I don't care how professional of a speaker you are, we're all going to have some of those crazies in the audience every now and then, but your mindset, just like you said, your mindset changed, your belief about yourself changed, and then your confidence was absolutely elevated. Darren Hardy, I was watching a video from him today, and he said, it's not about who's the smartest in the room. It's really boils down to who's going to outwork, put in the most time, put in the effort, be consistent over time. And I love that about you. So you've written a book, you are speaking, you are coaching. Tell us about your book, and then also tell us, what you're doing now in terms of coaching other clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So the title of my book is called Stop Thriving, or I'm sorry, no, we want to thrive.
We want to thrive.
Stop surviving and start thriving.
Okay.
And it really is a story about my life and my journey, my struggles. And so I share, I'm very, very authentic. I'm very authentic in the book. I'm very real. But I also share the strategies that I used in my own life to move forward.
Yes.
So it's inspirational, but yet it's also a teaching book. And it's been a great experience. I never intended to write a book, to be honest with you. I sat down at my computer as a speaker and as a trainer. Every time I have something happen that's funny, that I think is going to be a teachable moment, I always capture it because I don't want to forget it. So I have a Google Doc full of stories. Wow. And then they started to morph, and I thought, wow, I could turn this into something. And that's how that started. Yes. I never intended to be an author. Wow. And it's been a great experience. And from that, I do a lot of speaking, but from that, I will have audience members, or primarily women that have read my book, that will reach out to me and ask me if I would be willing to coach with